When I was a little girl, I used to close my eyes and imagine myself standing on a big stage. The lights would shine so bright that I couldn't even see the faces in the audience. But I could feel them. I could feel their hearts beating with mine as I sang. That was my dream, to become a singer. Not for fame or money, but because music made me feel alive. It made me believe that I had something beautiful to offer to the world. But dreams have a strange way of being tested. Mine came crashing down the day I met him. It was my first day working part-time at a small cafe near the Han River. I was 21, saving every penny to join a vocal academy. He walked in on a rainy afternoon, his hair soaked, his glasses fogged, holding a stack of music sheets. He looked like someone who carried storms inside him, quiet, mysterious, and somehow lost. He ordered a black coffee, sat near the window, and spent hours scribbling notes on his papers. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Something about him drew me in like a song I couldn't stop humming. When I finally gathered the courage to ask what he was writing, he looked up and smiled. That kind of gentle smile that makes time stop for a second. "I'm composing," he said. "For a film. Or maybe for a dream I haven't figured out yet." From that day, he became a part of my routine. Every afternoon, same table, same coffee, same distant look. Sometimes I'd sing softly while cleaning the tables, and once he turned to me with surprise. "That song, did you write it?" he asked. I blushed and shook my head. "No, but maybe someday." He smiled again. "Then I'll be the first to compose for you." That moment felt like the beginning of something neither of us dared to name. Days turned into weeks. Conversations turned into late-night walks. I learned his name He was a music producer, struggling to make his name in the industry. His dream was to compose for the biggest artists in Seoul. He worked hard but lived modestly, believing that passion was more valuable than comfort. I admired that, but I also feared it, because I knew that kind of passion demands sacrifice. The more time I spent with him, the less time I had for my own dream. I told myself it was temporary, that once he made it I'd go back to mine. But somewhere along the way, his dream became mine too. I started helping him with lyrics, melodies, even background vocals. He said my voice inspired him, and I believed him. Maybe too much. We rented a tiny studio together, barely big enough for a keyboard and 2 chairs. But to me it was paradise. Nights filled with laughter, frustration, creativity, and love. Pure, quiet love. One evening, after a long day of composing, he turned to me with tired eyes. "They want me to move to Busan," he said. "A big label there offered me a chance. But it's complicated." "Why complicated?" I asked. "Because I'd have to start over. And you wouldn't be there." Something inside me trembled. My dream, my voice, my stage, all felt distant compared to the thought of losing him. Without thinking, I said, "Then I'll go with you." He looked at me surprised. "What about your singing? Your dream?" I smiled, though my chest ached. Maybe my dream isn't to sing anymore. Maybe it's to be where music lives, and that's with you. He didn't know what to say. He just hugged me, and I felt his heartbeat sync with mine. That night I thought I'd made the right choice. Busan was beautiful, but life there wasn't easy. We lived in a small rooftop apartment with cracked walls and leaking pipes. I got a job at a bakery to support us while he spent his days composing, chasing producers and studios that promised everything but gave little. Some nights I'd find him staring at his unfinished scores, his hands trembling. "I can't do this," he'd whisper. And I'd sit beside him, hold his hand, and remind him that he wasn't alone. But deep inside I was fading. My voice, once my pride, became something I used only in whispers. I'd hum quietly while washing dishes, and sometimes tears would fall without warning. I told myself it was worth it. Love was worth it. One day he came home with a spark in his eyes. "They accepted my demo," he said, holding a letter as if it were gold. "They want me to produce for an upcoming artist. This could change everything." I cried with joy, hugging him, feeling his excitement as my own. But as he spoke about schedules, contracts, and deadlines, I realized something. My name wasn't part of his plans anymore. The dream we built together was now his alone. Weeks passed. He worked day and night, barely sleeping. I tried to keep up, to support him, to stay strong. But the distance between us grew. When I'd ask if he needed help, he'd smile distractedly. "Not this time, love. It's a different style. You wouldn't fit." Those words cut deeper than he knew. I started walking alone by the beach after work. The ocean reminded me of my own voice. Vast, endless, but unheard. I wondered if I'd made a mistake. Then one evening I found him sitting on the rooftop, eyes red from exhaustion. He looked at me and said softly, "I think I lost myself." I sat beside him, feeling the cold wind brush our faces. "No," I said. "You just forgot why you started." He smiled weakly. "And you? Did you forget too?" I looked away, the truth burning inside me. Maybe I did. We sat there in silence, two people bound by love but separated by dreams. The next morning I woke up early and went to the cafe near the river. The one where we first met. It had been years since I'd been there. I ordered a coffee, sat by the window, and stared at the rain. For the first time in a long time I sang softly to myself. The barista paused, listening. When I finished, she said, "You have such a beautiful voice. Do you perform anywhere?" I smiled sadly. I used to. That night something inside me changed. I realized that giving up my dream didn't make his stronger. It only made both of us weaker. When I came home, I found him asleep at the desk, surrounded by unfinished music sheets. I placed my hand on them and whispered, "I can't lose myself to love. Love should lift us, not break us." The next day I made a decision. I applied for a small singing competition in Seoul. Nothing big, just a local showcase. I didn't tell him. I didn't want permission or validation. I just wanted to remember who I was. The night before the performance, he found the flyer in my bag. He looked at me silently for a long moment. "You're performing again?" I nodded. "I have to." He exhaled slowly, his expression unreadable. "I thought we had the same dream." "We do," I said gently. "But maybe we're supposed to chase them separately so we can find our way back stronger." He didn't argue. He just said, "Then I'll be there." I didn't believe him. But when I stepped onto that tiny stage the next night, trembling under the lights, I saw him in the crowd. His eyes were filled with something I hadn't seen in a long time, pride. As the music started, I sang like I had never sung before. Every word was a piece of my heart. Every note a memory of love, sacrifice, and rediscovery. The audience disappeared. It was just me and him, just like that rainy afternoon years ago. When the last note faded, I looked up and saw him standing, clapping through tears. In that moment I knew maybe I gave up my dream once, but I had just taken it back. When I walked off the stage, my legs were shaking. The applause still echoed in my ears, but it wasn't the sound that moved me. It was the feeling. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. I could breathe. I could exist beyond someone else's shadow. Jisoo came to me backstage, his eyes glistening under the dim lights. He didn't say much. He just pulled me into a hug that said everything words couldn't. "You were incredible," he whispered. "That's who you've always been." I forgot. "And I'm sorry." I smiled against his chest. "We both forgot. But it's okay. Maybe we needed to lose our way to find each other again." After that night, things changed between us. Not instantly, not magically, but slowly, like the dawn breaking after a long storm. He still chased his music, and I began chasing mine again. But this time we didn't run in opposite directions. We learned how to walk side by side, even when our paths curved. I started performing in small bars around the city, singing for small crowds who listened with their hearts. Every time I sang, I saw him at the back of the room, notebook in hand, eyes full of pride. Sometimes he'd join me on stage, playing piano softly beneath my voice. We were no longer trying to live inside one dream. We were learning to weave two dreams into one story. But success is never a straight line. One afternoon, he received a call from a major label in Seoul, an offer to produce for one of Korea's top artists. It was the kind of opportunity people spend their whole lives waiting for. He looked at me conflicted, the same way he did years ago. "They want me to move to Seoul for at least a year," he said quietly. "I'd have to leave next month." I froze. My chest tightened, memories rushing back. The last time he got an offer like this, I followed him and lost myself. I wasn't going to make that mistake again. "You should go," I said, my voice trembling but firm. He frowned. "Go? Just like that?" I nodded. "Yes. Go chase it. I'll be here doing the same." We'll meet again when it's time. He stepped closer, searching my eyes. And if time changes us? I smiled. Then maybe we'll love each other in new ways. He held my face in his hands, his touch trembling. You're stronger than I am. No, I said softly. I just finally remembered who I am. That night we talked for hours about music, about fear, about love. There were no promises, just honesty. When he left for Seoul, the goodbye was painful but peaceful. I didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because I knew love wasn't about holding on. It was about growing, even when apart. The months that followed were the hardest and the most beautiful of my life. I poured everything I had into music. I recorded my first original song with the little savings I had, posting it online under my own name. I didn't expect much, but people started listening. Slowly, messages began to appear. Your voice healed me. This song feels like hope. Please sing more. Every message felt like a light guiding me forward. Then one day, I received a call from an unknown number. Is this Lee Hannah? A woman asked. We'd like to invite you to perform at the Busan Spring Festival. One of our producers heard your song online. My heart stopped. The Busan Spring Festival. The same event I used to dream of attending just to watch others perform. The night of the festival, the city glittered like a sea of stars. I wore a simple white dress and carried my heart in my hands. As I stepped onto the main stage, memories flooded back. The cafe, the rain, the studio, the nights of doubt. Every piece of my journey had led here. When the music began, I closed my eyes and sang. This time I wasn't singing to be heard. I was singing because I had something to say. About love, sacrifice, and rediscovery. My voice carried through the night air, blending with the ocean breeze. And then as I opened my eyes mid-song, I saw him. Jisoo was standing at the edge of the stage, just watching, tears streaming down his face. I almost lost my voice right there. But I kept singing because somehow I knew that was what he came for. Not words, not explanations, just truth. When the song ended, the crowd erupted in applause. I bowed, tears slipping down my cheeks. And before I could step off the stage, he walked up, right there in front of everyone. He took the microphone gently from my hand. I don't know if I deserve this moment, he said to the crowd, his voice trembling. But I know one thing, this woman taught me what real love is. It's not about giving up dreams. It's about believing that both dreams can shine together. The audience went quiet. He turned to me, eyes glimmering. I wrote something for you, he said. It's a song called Two Skies, One Star. It's for the woman who gave up her dream once, so I could find mine. The lights dimmed, and the melody began. He played the piano and I sang. Our voices weaving together, not competing but completing each other. It felt like closure, rebirth, and destiny all at once. After the show, the world seemed to explode around us. Cameras, fans, producers. But none of it mattered. We stood in the middle of that chaos, holding each other, laughing like children. Seoul was good to you, I said softly. He smiled. Busan was better. It gave me you back. From that night on, everything changed. We started working together officially, him as the composer, me as the singer. The industry began to notice, calling our duo the Song of the Sea, because our music felt like waves, emotional, unpredictable, and healing. But fame wasn't what made it special. What made it real was that we never forgot who we were before it all, two dreamers, two wanderers who had once lost themselves in love and found each other again through it. There were still challenges, still fights, still days when fear whispered in our ears. But now, instead of giving up, we listened to each other. We had learned that love doesn't mean choosing between dreams. It means building a world big enough for both to live. Years later, on a quiet morning by the Han River, he took my hand and said, "Do you remember the cafe where we met?" I laughed. How could I forget? I spilled coffee all over your sheet music. He smiled, pulling out a small velvet box. My heart froze. Hannah, he said softly, we've spent so much time chasing dreams that I almost forgot to chase forever. Will you marry me? Tears filled my eyes instantly. I nodded before words could escape my lips. Yes, I whispered. 1,000 times yes. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, the sun rose over the river, painting the world in gold. It felt poetic, as if life itself was applauding our journey. Our wedding wasn't extravagant. It was small, intimate, surrounded by close friends, family, and music. We sang together instead of reciting vows because that was our language, the language that had carried us through everything. That night, under the soft lights and laughter, I looked at him and realized something profound. I never really gave up my dream. I had only paused it long enough to understand its meaning. My dream was never just about music. It was about connection, emotion, and love, and he had always been a part of that melody. Now, when people ask about our story, I smile and say, it's not about sacrifice. It's about harmony. Because sometimes life writes the most beautiful songs through the mistakes we make and the love we rediscover. And whenever I step on stage now, I still see him at the edge, smiling with that same quiet pride. He doesn't just watch me, he listens. And I sing not for the world, but for the dream we both finally learned to live together. Love didn't ask me to give up who I was. It just helped me become everything I was meant to be. And that is how I gave up my dream once, only to find a greater one, living his and mine as one. Sometimes I stand before the mirror and whisper to the girl I used to be, the one who thought love meant losing herself. I tell her, you were brave to follow your heart, but the bravest thing you ever did was to find your way back. Dreams change. Love evolves. But when both grow together, they create something eternal. So yes, I gave up my dream once. But in doing so, I found a life richer than I ever imagined. One where two hearts, two dreams, and one love play the same beautiful song forever.